I'm going to talk soon. Oh, yeah. Let's finish up the conversations. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Took about how long? We have our normal meeting today. We're going to talk about our presentation. It's going to be on how to survive social media and instant media. So that will be a real relevant talk. Our expenses are a little different this month. We started putting a financial reserve away, put $1,525 in. We didn't have that in there last 2 months. We hadn't had a reserve. We're putting a reserve for long-term projects. So, of course, these months will be always going up because of the registration period of time. So it builds up at this time of year and goes down after July 1. It'll start getting less money in and more money out. Oh, the food pantry is about on course. If you look at the spending, the amount of money donated in the last 10 years, it's amazing. It's always within about $20. We just maybe get a little bit more because they're having their costs go up. It's about $167 a month average. So if you guys could just think a little bit about the donuts, and we have a few tonight. I think there's going to weigh out. You pick up a donut if you want. And the coffee, that is a big budget for it's over $2,000 a year. So we don't even break even if we kept the money. So that would be helpful. We're getting almost to 1,900 members, and we are glad that they don't all show up.
At one time.
The newsletter is going to be a learning curve coming up. Either this month we'll send out another copy of your newsletter with a new email service and some kind of letter we're trying to figure out how to get a notification if you don't get 2. But if you don't get 2, you won't know to send in the request. So we're trying to figure out how to do this. So that we can see the new email is working as well as the old one did. And we know one thing about the new one, we can see right away the list of people that get it in alphabetical order. So you can come next month and come in and say, I didn't get it. We can look on the list and see if you're on the list. It'll be a little easier. So, in the computer news, we got, how many here, raise your hands, that have received the new edition of Windows, the Creator Edition? Got 1, 2, we got about 5, 10. Okay, the rest of you folks, be sure you leave your computers on at night a couple days a week, at least. Because this thing will come in, it's almost a 4 gig, 3 gig download, and it will take some time to get it in and get it installed. If you don't leave it on at night, might be in the daytime that you get it downloading, and you might shut it off because you see the computer flash up and down maybe once or twice. And you say, oh, I didn't turn that thing off. I was doing that. And turn it off. If you turn it off in the middle of the process, it's a problem. So once it starts, leave it on. And it eventually should just go and you'll have a new edition. There's not too many things in there that are important to our group, but you can look around on it. There's a splash page in the beginning when you open it up the first time. It'll tell you a little bit about it. I don't see anything that's really earth-shaking for our group, except Edge will be enhanced, and it'll pay us to look at what the enhancements are in Edge, if you can use them. And that's about the biggest one that our group will find.
Frank, will we know if it happens during the night? How will we know it?
Yeah, when you open Windows, it'll tell you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's a splash screen that opens, says this is a new edition, and it'll tell you about it.
Thank you.
It's called the Creator Edition 1707, I think it's the number. You type in Win, W-I-N-B-E-R, Win for Win version. It'll tell you, it won't say Creator on that screen, it'll say 1707, I believe. So that is the biggest news you got. Next month, we're going to have a guy from Microsoft that he was here before. He's an independent contractor now. So he was going to be able to talk about Apples and everything, a whole broad computer. So we'll have him next week and next month, and he'll talk about some of the features of Windows, what has been changed. So it should be interesting. Training.
Well, no slides, you're just gonna have to listen to what I tell you. We're gonna have 5 classes in May, and next Monday, that's the day after tomorrow, Shelley's gonna be talking about OneDrive. He was here, give a 5-minute presentation about the cloud, and a lot of people said, well, what's cloud storage? How does it work? Come to the class on Monday at 1 o'clock, and he's gonna spend some time, an hour and a half, Shelley, on OneDrive, and that's cloud storage. So you'll get your answers there on cloud storage. Then on Thursday evening, we're gonna have Wi-Fi home setup. If you're having any questions about your Wi-Fi, how to set it up at home, if you're having problems with it, or if you want to, create a Wi-Fi setup at home, Will's gonna have a program, probably an hour and a half, on setting up Wi-Fi and overcoming any questions and problems with your Wi-Fi setup at home. And then we got on Friday the 12th, we're going to have low-cost traveling. We've got a new instructor, Dennis, who's going to be talking about how you find the cheapest rate airlines, cars, hotels, restaurants, different things like that as you're traveling. So that, I know we're coming into vacation time, so that might be something interesting, maybe to save you some money. And once again, that's on Friday the 12th. Then on Tuesday the 16th, we're going to have another basic Windows 10 class. It's almost redundant that we have this, but there's so many of our members that are going from 7 or 8 when their computers die to 10, and they feel like, well, I'm not really sure where to find this and find that. It's just a basic introduction to help you with some of the places that you can find what you're really looking for that you remembered from 7 or 8. So, like I say, if you want to really get into it deep, you probably won't be doing that, but it's just a basic introduction. And then the last class we have in May is Google Photos, Picasa. Frank is going to be covering that, as he usually does with Picasa and Google Photos. Right now, we're a little short on June, but I know we're going to have a Twitter class in June. We may have another Windows 10 class. We're talking about an eBay class, so there's some things coming up for June, but as of right now, don't have any. But if you're interested in teaching a class, be sure and let me know, because I'm sure we can fit you in. Jeff came up with an idea, and he said, what do you think? Well, anybody says they're interested in teaching a class, I'm interested. So put that baby on, we'll find somebody to come and listen. But there's so many subjects out there, And we do need instructors or helpers. That's a good way to start. If you want to help somebody with the class, you kind of get an idea how easy it is, and then you can do it yourself. So keep that in mind. And we're also looking for monitors. And one other thing, John Capito put the connection to lynda.com on our website. So now you can go to our Computer Club website, and with one click, go right into lynda.com, providing you have a library card, and you can get the training videos, and they're pretty good.
Ralph, can you mention something about the emails that we sent out?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, do you want to, Jim?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, you, Jim, do that.
Our program for training calls for an email to go out at the beginning of the month that lists all of the training classes coming up during that month. And then on the Saturday before the week, to list what's remaining of the month for training classes. And if you're not getting that email, please let me know, because it should go out to every listed member in the club, except for the new website, of course. But that's another story. So if you're not getting that email, let me know, and we'll, because we post it as well on our website as we do in the email transmission. Okay, thank you.
Are you teaching that class on Tuesday the 17th?
Okay, community matters, we have, the board meeting is, the workshop is Monday the 10th, and the board meeting's,
Wednesday.
what,
Wednesday.
Wednesday?
The 10th is Wednesday.
Wednesday, okay, Wednesday. Is that, oh, yeah, it's Wednesday. And, the board meeting's on the 24th, that's a Wednesday too. And we have the, opening of the Model Railroading Club is having an open house, spring open house, Sunday, May 22nd. If you haven't been there recently, it's, should be a lot of new stuff shown on the inside as well as the outside G-gauge train. They'll have them all running that day. So try to make your grandkids and everybody else that are over, have them come over that day and go over there. It really is a good experience if you haven't seen it. How many here have been there? Okay, about 90%, so you know it's good. Okay. Bill, your turn.
Sorry. Good morning, everyone. I want to start by saying this is a multimedia conversation this morning. Whether you're an Apple or a Windows or Android or any other type of operating system, this presentation crosses all of those operating systems. So it's not tied to any one system. The second thing I'd like to talk about, or in general, is when I started to look at this presentation, I started to think about how information is coming at us. And most of what I will have on these slides deal with 2000 and beyond. So since 2000 and beyond, we have been inundated with information, and all of it, as you know, from all of the media that you've been hearing about lately, is not the right information. So it's an obligation for all of us, as I go through these slides, to remember that the information that you receive oftentimes needs to be tested and checked out and make sure and confirm that it is the accurate information. Okay, this is just some of the thoughts that I had. We get information from print, from television, from computers, from mobile devices, and that information just comes at us at a continuous stream all day long. If you're used to using a mobile device, whether it's a tablet or a phone, you know that it's just beeping at you all the time with information, and especially if you have news feeds turned on. What I want to talk about this morning is social media, instant media, sharing sites, because they are in fact media types of information, newspapers and television, just briefly on some of those. Facebook is probably the #1 site that most of us think about when we think of social media. Look at Facebook. It was launched in 2004. In 2006, when it was launched in 2004, as you probably remember, it was for a university use only. And by 2006, they opened it up to the world and said anybody age 13 or older. And of course, that wasn't really tested because you could put any age in there you wanted to. But those were people who were available to use the system. Today, it's available on desktops, laptops, tablet computers, smartphones. And all you have to do is create a user profile and you're up and running. It's that simple. Users can add other users as friends, as you probably know. For those of you who use it, this is not new information. You can post digital photos. You can also post videos on it now. You can do various software applications through this medium. And users may join groups. That's probably one of the most popular uses of it today, is to have groups that are set up in Facebook and you're able to communicate with everyone in that group via Facebook and keep friends and colleagues up to date on what you're working on. In groups, the editor can pin information to this and it will let you know what's upcoming events or what things are important to the group. The next one is Google+. How many in here use Google+? Just a handful of you, okay. Google+ was really the next one that came in line after Facebook. They saw what Facebook was doing in the marketplace, and Google, like all big corporations, wanted to jump in on the scene. Theirs has not taken off and become as successful by virtue of the few number of hands that have gone up in here. But it does have some really interesting pieces of information in it. You can post videos and photos and share that information. You can also set up circles of friends. In fact, with that, again, that's probably the most widely used part of that. And they have a text and video chat capability called Hangouts. Hangouts is something that instead of texting someone or calling someone on the phone or using Skype, and we'll talk about that in a minute, Hangouts is an instant type of video communication with someone on a one-on-one basis. It's not something you can set up in groups, but you can have a one-on-one, and it's a video chat, usually on a smartphone, but it can also be set up on the tablet. Snapchat. Have any here heard of Snapchat or know what it's all about? They're called snaps when you send these out. This was really probably one of the biggest parts of Snapchat is the fact that when a snap is sent out to somebody and they open that snap, after they open it, it disappears and goes away. It's not something that can stay on your device and be forwarded or moved over to some other person. This was really something that became very popular very quickly because of all the negative media that you've been hearing about, inappropriate texts and emails that being sent to people and then forwarded and passed around. This is a device or a software program that allows you to share whatever you want to share with someone, and then boom, it's gone right after you share it. That's probably one of the biggest parts of this program. Twitter. Does anybody here use Twitter? How many hands? Let's see. Okay, a couple of hands. Okay, and my hand didn't go up either. I actually have been interested in getting into Twitter, but have never taken the time to learn it. Twitter is a news and social media feed. I probably don't need to say a lot more about that because you're inundated on the news every day with Twitter feeds splashed up on the screen in front of you. But Twitter is something that's used very, very effectively with people who use it. I talked to my granddaughter when I was putting this presentation together, and I asked her what the most prevalent use in high school is today of all these applications, and Snapchat and Twitter came up as #1 on her list. She also uses Kik. Kik is not on my presentation, and the reason it's not on there, it's the #1 software right now that gives educators and community leaders the most trouble in terms of because it has no parental control capabilities built into it. So Kick is not on my presentation as something, but it is one of these type of media. There are 319 million active users, which is probably pretty interesting that they have that many. Remember, these are worldwide statistics. These are not US-based statistics. During the campaign, I was not surprised at this. In fact, I was surprised how low it was. There were 40 million tweets that were sent on the day of the 2016 election. I found that to be a low number considering all the information that you've heard about this application. Instagram was started primarily as a photo and video sharing application. Actually, it started out as a photo sharing, not video. And the main purpose of it was that people were having trouble posting their actual pictures into Facebook and getting the large volume of information being shared across mediums. And they had a way of doing that in Instagram much more effectively than Facebook had. And so as a result of that, Facebook actually bought this program in 2012. And after they bought it, as you can see, Instagram grew by 23%. And that was primarily due to the way that the photos and videos are handled in that and stored and organized and allowed to be shared with different people. Emailing, the oldest of everything now. I'd like to see the number of hands in here that don't use email. Okay, good. This is the oldest of the social media, and this truly is a social media application because we've been sharing with each other for decades now, not just one decade, but decades. Those of us have been using. I started using email personally, not just in corporate life, but personally in 1987. So that's quite a while, and that is, you can see what's happened to email at the bottom of the screen. There are 3.7 billion email users in the world, sending 269 billion emails on a daily basis. Okay, I don't know how many you receive, but mine's just under that. If you join anything, if you sign up for anything these days, you're going to get 1 to 5 new emails every day from these various vendors, and it's just it's overwhelming what's happened to it. Email has evolved, as you know, from a straight text capability to what it is today, which in our new system, the new system here in the community, we're going to be able to email using text and graphics and what have you to put this newsletter out. So the evolution of email is still evolving today as we think of it. News feeds. In our lifetime, everybody sitting in this room's lifetime, I don't know how many of you remember turning on the television in the 50s and seeing ABC, CBS, and NBC, and that was it. And that's all that you had. And there was one nightly news broadcast. And in the 60s, I believe they started with the Today Show and then the Tonight Show and some of these things, which were, the Today Show was a news broadcast, the Tonight Show was more of a comedian type of activity. But now look what's going on with the news feeds. And not only do you have these various networks, and this is not all the networks, I just put a list of them up here for us. Not only do we have those, but you can get instantaneous on your media, and as I said, the mobile alerts. You can get mobile alerts on a constant basis to keep you updated. Some of these mobile alerts are quite nice. They tell us about weather conditions and things that we need to know about if you're in a particular area. In fact, with your mobile device, you can set it up so that it tracks you and knows where you are, and if there's a weather alert in that area you're in, you will be notified that there's a weather alert in that area. That's a good thing. But all the other feeds that you get and the news media coming at you can be overwhelming at times. Podcast. Anybody in here use podcasts? I know you do. Okay, there are a few podcast users. That's a great way to do it. And if you notice all the major news programs in the morning, they'll say that in addition to listening to their their news on the TV. If you have to get up and go somewhere, you can do the podcast and listen to it at a later time. Newspapers. I did a presentation about 5 years ago in here, and I put 3 newspapers that are probably the most commonly read in America today from Chicago. Of course, the Tribune and then the Post and then the New York Times. And I did an article 5 years ago that said these were going to go away, and I'm surprised at how many driveways I still see newspapers on today. But I will tell you that in the 13 years I've lived here, that's been cut in half. There are a lot of people that don't read a physical newspaper anymore and actually get their news instead of from the newspaper itself. They go to the newspaper's website, particularly if you're interested in the Washington Post or the New York Times, which is not generally delivered in our area. You can get that information instantly on your computer on a constant stream basis. Television, I don't need to say much more, except the explosion of television now is not only in your family or living room or bedroom or wherever you have your television set up these days, but you also can get it on a mobile device, tablets, phones. This all access that all the networks are coming out with gives you the capability of continuous streaming information of news through your television stations that you're used to watching, NBC, ABC, BBC, what have you.
Channel 9.
Channel 9, you can go on forever, you can go on forever. Texting, how many people in here don't use texting? Okay, that's not, do that again, one more time, let me see. I'm kind of surprised, George, okay. I understand that texting is a way of sharing information with people. Most of this, for us in this group, is more personal than anything, where we text somebody and let them know what's happening to us or what have you. It's particularly good if you want to just notify somebody that you can't make a meeting or you can't be somewhere or what have you. It's a quick, instantaneous way of just sending out information to somebody. It's not intended to be a lengthy type of, although I do see some of those, it's not intended to be a lengthy type of communication. It started with a term called SMS, or short message services, about a decade ago. And it's become obviously much more popular since smartphones have become available to us. It does have its use, and of course, in latter years, they use a lot of emojis. Does anybody here not know what an emoji is? Okay, we see a few hands go up. Emojis are very popular things for you to send somebody a happy face, a smiley face, or you get a text from somebody you don't like it, you send them back a frown or what have you. But it is just a way of communicating your expressions and feelings today. FaceTime, I don't know that I need to say a lot more about that. If you're an Apple user, this is an Apple specific product. FaceTime is a way that you can video communicate with people. It does enhance communications, obviously, because when you're video conferencing with someone, they can share information where they are and what have you. We use this fairly extensively in our house. Steve Jobs announced this in 2010. I was trying to find the statistic of how many of these are actually used on a daily basis, and I couldn't find that. But it's like Skype, except that it's more like a phone call. For those of you who don't use this product, all you have to do is press the button like a phone call, and when the phone rings on the other end, it says FaceTime as opposed to phone call, and you answer it. Just be careful where you are when you answer that. Skype, probably one of the oldest now for us, probably one of the oldest video conferencing systems. And it's been enhanced quite a bit. When it first came out, it was basically a one-on-one type of capability, like I was talking about FaceTime. The current availability since Microsoft bought it in 2011, and I think their major purpose of it was to enhance their capability to use it for online training with their corporations. As a one-on-one, it was okay, but now what they've opened up to is a conference call capability, which is now free. It used to be the free version was a one-on-one direct with one user at a time or two users going back and forth. Now you can do the video conferencing that is free since Microsoft has purchased it and updated. And so I don't know if it's part of the new 10 update or not, but it's embedded in 10, in Windows 10 as a product that's out there. And if you haven't used it, it is very effective. I have a number of friends that have friends and family that are stationed all over the world, or they have friends that are in different parts of the world. And Facebook is still, not Facebook, I'm sorry, Skype is still one of the most popular tools out there to talk to somebody on a video basis. WhatsApp. Has anybody in here heard of WhatsApp? Okay, yeah, this is a new one, but if you look at it, it already has what is it? 1 point. Oh, I thought I had it up there somewhere, but WhatsApp has almost 1 billion users now. And it's more widely used outside of the United States as a texting service than it is used in the United States, even though it was developed in Silicon Valley. I was surprised to find that it was developed there because I had heard about it, and I've heard about it in Europe and Asia as the most popular texting capability. You can see it's a freeware cross-platform application, meaning you can have it on an Apple or an Android or a Microsoft device. You do messaging with it. You can also send photos and what have you with it. It's similar to a texting type of application, but it's got more enhanced features in it. Dropbox. Now, as I'm stretching the presentation on social media, but I'm including Dropbox and a few of the other online cloud type applications, because this is also a way that you can share information with people. For our group, for the Computer Club group, I would say the vast majority of us would use Dropbox to share photos with someone. If you were away somewhere and you wanted to share a photo with someone or a series of photos about where you are and to tell a little story, this is easily done with Dropbox by dropping them into your Dropbox, and then you can share it out. You can actually send an email out and share it out. And when they click on it, it'll automatically open the Dropbox, the link to it will open a Dropbox account and display the information that you have sent to them. They do not have to be a Dropbox user in order for them to see this, which is a good thing. And once they have finished with the link, they can store it and go back and look at it at any time. And if you are a major Dropbox user, then you can sync it with the device that you're using, either, again, a smartphone, tablet, computer, what have you, and you always have the information in Dropbox and on your device if that's the way you choose to share it at all times. So if for whatever reason your device gets destroyed or hard drives go kaput, whatever, you can have that information readily available to you backed up online. And we're not going to get into online storage today, but just this is some of the capabilities. OneDrive. I believe we're going to have a presentation. You're going to do it on OneDrive. OneDrive is something that a few of us have started to use since Microsoft came out with their 365 software and offered us a terabyte worth of storage for free, which is quite a bit of storage. And if you buy Office 365, 365 will give you up to 5 users, so that's 5 terabytes. So each user can have a terabyte of storage. You can put photos, documents, what have you, and share those. You can't share that information, however, with the user unless that user has access to your account. So you have to give them access to your account. It's mainly used for storing the information and then bringing it back down and sharing it with someone through an email or what have you. But it is a major backup device, and especially, let's say a lot of people blog, not blog, journal when they're on vacations. And so this is a good way to journal your information, drop it into Dropbox or OneDrive, and store that information. When you get back, you can pull it down and then share it with people that you want to share it with. Or you could do it while you're away as well. Google Drive is another similar type of thing. Google, of course, had to get into Google Drive, had to develop something to compete with Microsoft all the time. They give you 15 gigabytes free, and then you get to buy it. It's the same thing, only in Google Drive, and Frank, you talk about this when you do Picasso there, right? With Google Drive, you can put your pictures out there and documents and share them with other people who are not necessarily set up in Google Drive. So this is another one like Dropbox, where you can store the information and then share it out with other parties. iCloud is mainly a storage device, but if you are an Apple user, you can set that up so that you can have multiple people that share the information on your iCloud account. So if I take a picture and it immediately uploads off of my device, tablet or smartphone, into the iCloud, and I have sharing set up with whoever I have sharing set up with, they will see, they will get a notification and know that I've just posted something in iCloud, and they can look up and see whether it's, again, if you're journaling or if you're sending pictures or something like that. It's a way of sharing that information. So, what's important to you? That's the most key question here. What do you want to receive in the social media world? Is it important to you because of family, because of friends, because of church, state, nation, world? These are the things you have to make a decision about. And all I have tried to do today is give you a glimpse of the array of information that's sitting out there and how you want to be able to use that from a social and instant media capability. Questions? Yes, sir.
Wait a second. I'm curious about that.
Wait for the microphone. I was a little too quick for Frank tonight. Yeah.
You asked several times about the various social media, how many people use it, but you didn't ask that question of Facebook. And I'm curious because I've never used it.
How many people in here use Facebook? Okay, very good. I tried to use it, I'll share this with you, when it started to become popular, what, 8, 10 years ago or whatever. I started to use it. I thought it was a pretty good way of sharing information. And I befriended a number of people, and they accepted my request to befriend them. And then I started sending messages out to them, and I would never get responses. So I'd send them an email, and I'd get instant responses. And I thought, well, email works just as well, you know. So I didn't find a use for it. Harry, hold on.
Bill,
Up over here. Yes.
what is the security level on most of these?
What is the security level on most of these? Not good. Not good. I mean, Facebook has logins, or again, you know, and Twitter has logins. It depends on your passwords that you use. So it's as good as the passwords that you use. The same thing with the cloud accounts. You know, the strong passwords are obviously better, but nothing is safe on the internet tonight. We all know that. The question that I ask myself is, I'm standing up here talking to you, and you all, I appreciate your interest in what I talk about, but other than that, who really cares about me? You know, really. You know, so I'm not worried about Russia spying on me or something like that. If they happen to run across my name, that's great, but so be it. If you have something really confidential to work with, then I think that becomes an issue. Yeah.
Yeah, Bill, getting back to the newspaper on the computer, is there a charge for that, and do you get all the ads and everything when you're on the video, on the computer?
Yes and yes. There are a few I'm thinking USA Today is free. I think that's one of the few that's actually free. But the Tribune, the New York Times, the Washington Post, all of those, you can go in for free and you can get the headlines. But the minute you try to drill down from there and want to see the full article, you have to become a subscriber.
And that's probably cheaper than having it delivered to your house.
I don't know that it's cheaper. I don't know the answer to that because I don't subscribe to any of them. Yeah, George, do you know the answer to that?
Well, a lot of them, if you subscribe to the hard copy, you automatically get a subscription to the digital copy.
Yeah, George says if you,
Journal is that way for-
yeah, George says if you subscribe to the paper copy, then you automatically have a subscription to the electronic. But if you want just an electronic, it could be cheaper. I mean, you'd have to research it. The main thing outside of our area, certain newspapers probably couldn't be delivered to our area on a timely basis. I don't know if the Washington Post and New York Times are even delivered. New York Times is delivered here? Okay, so you could get that. The main difference between the electronic media and the paper media is, let's say it's printed at midnight and then distributed to us by 5 o'clock in the morning, 6 o'clock. We'll just use that as a premise. If there is a new news story that's coming out that came out at 5 o'clock, you're not going to see that in the print copy, but that will be available to you online as soon as it's made available. I've got one over here too.
Yeah, I have a couple comments about Facebook. One, I don't use Facebook, but years ago, when people first started to get on it, I know Facebook will go into your contacts and it'll send out emails to everybody in your contacts saying, so-and-so wants to be your friend. I mean, for a few years there, I got tons of emails from people as they were signing up for it. And so that's one reason I never signed up for it. Another thing is, it's become a huge liability for young people because employers now go and look at their Facebook page before is part of their interview process and due diligence before they hire someone. And I can just tell you from relatives and grandkids, some of them have some really bad stuff on their Facebook pages that I don't think they understand the consequences of posting it there for the world to see.
All right, I have a couple comments for you on that. First off, that's in when Facebook was first announced, it did ask you if you wanted to link your contacts to Facebook. And that was an advantage for you to do that so that you could send out information to them. I don't know that they automatically sent those emails out to people. I think that was something that users didn't understand and they hit the wrong button and boom, it sent all these invitations out. But that is clearly now not something that does. It still wants to grab your contacts, but that's just for its capability of within Facebook being able to send out a message to someone. As far as the grandkids are concerned, that's a two-way street. If you go for a job interview and you're not one of these major users, I don't know how well you're going to do in the job interview process today, because they want to remember that people who are hiring kids out of college today, they want to see how socially active they have been in addition to what their grade levels are. And the one way to find that is through this. You'll find very few college kids that don't use one of the medium I just put up here today. And yes, and it is dangerous. And I'll tell you the other thing to advise your grandkids is an email address. How many of you get email addresses from grandkids and go, that's a wacky name? Some of them even vulgar, quite honestly. And you instantly tell them, don't use that email address. I mean, the safest and best email address is your name. However you want to set it up, you can put numbers and what have you behind it. But that's what corporations want to see. They don't want to see this other wacky stuff out there. So in addition to Facebook and what you posted on it, they should know that if they're presenting themselves professionally, they should do it with a proper email address. Did you have one over there, Frank, before we go this side?
Yeah, I think the crowd, these last couple of questions pretty much took the wind out of my sail there. I have a consulting business and I work with some Fortune 50 companies here in the Chicago area. And looking across the room, I see that there are a number of you here who are grandparents. And there's one piece of advice that you could give to your grandkids when it comes to Facebook and social media. If it's anything that's like risque, don't do it.
Exactly.
Because we're looking. And, you know, I will go to social media on a positive note. It's one thing for somebody to be smart. We all want people that are smart. But in today's business world, not only do you have to be smart, you got to be able to work with a group. And you do look on social media to see, has this individual, especially in the engineering fields, is this person involved in activities? Do they work well within a group? And you can find that by looking at social media. But I'll tell you what, I says if you go on social media and you go to Facebook or some of these sites and you see anything on there and you're a young person and it's risque, there's just too much talent out there. You're eliminated before you even know what happened. The other point that I was going to make for those of you that may still be in business or have people that you know that are in business, probably the best tool out there is LinkedIn, LINKED, LinkedIn. We get business just strictly from people who go into this media and then they know what you do and what your area of expertise is, and people will reach out to you, especially like I work at Motorola. And there'll be a whole group on there of Motorola people that are on LinkedIn. So if I'm looking for an engineer or I'm looking for somebody with a particular skill set, I would go right to the Motorola group, click on it, say, hey, I'm looking for somebody with an expertise in this or an expertise in that. And all of a sudden, you'll get a whole bunch of really good feedback and resumes and experienced people. So there's a business side, but I say it to my grandkids now, don't mess around with this Facebook and do things on there that are just not good.
Thank you. George?
Yeah, 2 points. One, once you put something on, particularly Facebook, but on social media, it's granted eternal life. Okay? It's out there forever. And the other interesting statistic, I haven't seen it for last year, but I saw it for a couple of years ago. The #1 group of people that use Facebook are private detectives. Because they find it a very valuable source of information, and it's free.
Yeah, there have been a number of stories lately, police stories lately in the news, not on TV shows, where Facebook has been used to track people down and to find them and arrest them. That's a pretty good point. Any other questions, comments? Yes.
The Village of Huntley has a notification service that you can enroll in if you want to, called Nixie. And they'll either send you an email or a text, whatever you want.
Nixel?
I thought it was Nixie or Nixel. If you go to their website-
N-I-X-E-L, Nixel, yeah.
Okay, and it's very useful. You don't get bombarded with information. It's
Yep.
just if Route 47 is shut down because the railroad is closed. Then you get a message if had a couple of seniors who were missing. They'll send out like an Amber Alert. So it's just useful for this community.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that. That yesterday was really important because 47 was shut down. They first said an hour, but it turned out to be a half an hour. And it's awful difficult to get through Main Street and 47 when those gates are down. Other questions, comments, Mike?
Okay, I pulled up app search for New York Times,
Yes,
and it's $130 a year.
130 a year, thank you, yes.
And I like Facebook.
You like
You
Facebook?
just don't put stupid things on there, that's all.
Yeah,
But
we
it's
use
great to
Facebook.
keep up with friends and people that live out of town.
Yeah, we use Facebook in my household, but my wife uses it, and yeah, we do get some good information. George?
Yeah, I'm not
Last
sure-
one, George.
I'm not sure how it.
We can't hear you, George.
What's that?
The mic's not on.
It's on, but it's damaged.
Oh,
Try the other mic.
I'm not sure exactly how it works, But if you are, let's say, the New York Times or Tribune, you don't subscribe, you get that little blurb. But if you go to Google and you search for a particular topic, and that article comes up, it'll bypass that, will give you the full article.
Right.
So if you're looking for an article or a subject, you can bypass that subscription process.
Yeah, don't forget, the last thing I'll talk about the news media feeds is don't forget about the library. If you're a member of the library here, you can access the library, and a number of publications are there available to you for free, so don't forget about that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Goes to the hand to end with this little story. If you have, all of a sudden, you know, this environment we're in now, you get really tired of looking at some of these emails you get. So instead of doing email searches, and you want to do something to make your mind clear, you can look at a lot of sailing videos on YouTube. There's one couple that's sailing around the world. They have made about $200,000 on their videos, and by people that just like them. They send money to another website that passes it on to them, and they get some money from YouTube. And this one couple, they're making $200,000 a year. So they're doing very good videos. They're making them once a week. And they travel, and you see all the nice palm trees and all that, all the countries they visited. So there is some good positive things out there too. Just want to let you know. Look under sailing on YouTube. You'll find it very interesting. Okay, next month we'll have somebody. Ray will be back he was a Microsoft employee, he's now an independent contractor. So we'll have him next week tell us about the new things in Microsoft.